Yeah.
Hey, Terry. Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
So here I am again. So I was having a conversation with a friend recently about the fall of the communist world order in the 1980s and 1990s, and we were contemplating Ronald Reagan's famous speech about tearing down that wall and so on. And we were wondering if we identify these people either as the architects or simply as the administrators of this globalist movement that is destroying our civilization, and I think that's something that most of us would agree on. Who would be our Ronald Reagan? And I was wondering what all of you think of the suggestion that it might be Vladimir Putin. Is he not the Ronald Reagan of our time? Is he not the only one standing up against this, getting all the flack for it, getting hated by everyone? But ultimately, isn't he the only one really fighting globalism?
I would actually agree with you, but I don't think anyone else would.
Jerry, go ahead. Jerry and Catherine.
Well, yeah,
Right, because
that was
KGB
my
colonels, that's what they do. They fight globalism.
Can
Is
so
that
so
okay?
Mario, do you want me to speak or do you want me
No,
to
jump in and speak.
listen
You
No,
can
to
go ahead
the
and speak.
yeah,
just
Yeah.
yes, I'm
Go
gonna
ahead.
join.
just one thing to
Yes, please
elaborate
do.
on this, just very briefly. So my feeling is that I was thinking when I was in Davos earlier this week, my feeling was that even if miraculously a bomb would drop on that little village, beautiful village where Thomas Mann wrote a beautiful book, and many other people that we obviously feel connected to went to, like Mahler, the great composer, and so on. But nowadays, of course, it's taken over by these horrible reptile-like quasi-humans that are destroying our world. Um, but if a bomb would miraculously drop it, then even nastier people would be replacing their positions within weeks. So they are not actually leaders. They are merely uh, the people that get to sit in private jets for a couple years and get to feel important. The mediocre ones who get to implement policies that are not being designed by them. They are not thinkers. They are not intellectuals. They are not the, the ones deeply thinking about what the future of the world should be. They are simply there, put in place by this global bureaucracy to do the nasty work and to take the flag for it and to take all the public outrage for it and therefore what I was thinking was we're really fighting not just individuals, we're not fighting leadership, we're fighting institutionalism, we're fighting a global bureaucracy that seeks to big business and big government have sort of merged into a global bureaucracy. And we might be right in terms of arguments, and this point has been made by several previous speakers before me, but we don't get to debate them. Like Greta Thunberg she is not there arguing with us rationally because no serious person would rationally agree with all the ridiculous climate change claims. It's a mystique. It's a religion. It's a commercial enterprise, and this Greta Thunberg person is very replaceable. She is only there because she plays along, because she plays her role very well, like Tom Cruise. She's in the next Mission Impossible as long as she's good as the person she intends to play, and then they replace her with someone else. So what
Yeah.
who is actually fighting these people at their own level? And I wouldn't be able to think of anyone but Vladimir Putin. I think this could be actually a political point people like us could be making. Get him on the main stage, get him into a debate with other people. Let's try to see if we can find some kind of equilibrium here. Who is fighting against whom here? We are fighting shadows.
So, Thierry, I'm going to interrupt. Hold on, no. Thierry, Sam, everybody, I've got a question for you, Thierry, for you, Sebastian, for Ezra, for Kian, whoever would like to take this one. I looked at the okay, guys, please mute your mic. I don't know who that is. Oh, I've just muted everyone. All right.
Sebastian.
Okay, yeah, Sebastian, I'm just going to mute your mic. It's a bit of feedback sound from your end. Cool. So the question is the following. I tried to find the positives in the World Economic Forum because I'm seeing a lot of criticism around the world, and rightly so, around Davos. And I want to mention a few points, a few achievements from the World Economic Forum, and I want to get your thoughts on it just for the panel. So North and South Korea. So one point on the World Economic Forum is that people that cannot usually meet due to various reasons can't meet together, like North Korea and South Korea. The media wouldn't like that. Policymakers wouldn't like that. Well, they met for the first time in Davos. German unity discussions, they started, East and West, they started in Davos in the 80s. Mandela and de Klerk met in Davos to end apartheid. Warring factions meet in Davos, like Arab countries and Israel have met in Davos in the past, and these are meetings that cannot happen without such an event. Now, I'm not praising Davos in general. Actually, I am. This is one positive point of Davos. Despite the concerns that we all have, my main concern is the centralization of power, and I've tweeted a lot about the inequality, etc. There's a lot of points there. But would love anyone's perspective on this. Wouldn't you, like Sebastian, maybe you could take that one. Wouldn't you consider that point to be a positive?
Yeah, I just don't think there's a causal relationship. It's like saying, Gorbachev liked Big Macs and so did Reagan. Does that mean McDonald's, gets the prize for the collapse of, the Cold War? But I have to comment on that last speaker. I am absolutely mortified. I am horrified that anybody, especially an elected politician in a Western European country, even in the same sentence, dares to say that did I hear this right? That Vladimir Putin could be the next Reagan, as the child of someone who was tortured by communist secret police officers, who was given a life sentence at the age of 20, who had to be liberated from a political prison by the revolutions of 1956. To posit that a KGB colonel who literally has journalists murdered on their doorsteps, like Anna Politkovskaya, because she writes bad articles about him, a man who has no qualms about ripping Crimea, about South Ossetia, about Moldova, about being a one-party state who's in bed with the oligarchs until they do something wrong, like Khodorkovsky, and then they get a 20-year prison sentence. This is why I get up every morning. It's to stop the insanity of people who think that a communist KGB colonel who said repeatedly that the greatest tragedy of the 20th century is the loss of the Soviet Union, that somehow this person has become a champion for the West, is a white knight savior for Christianity when he spent his career persecuting Christians. I just would like to, on the record, give a sanity check that this is absolutely outrageous, that we fought 40 years against people like Vladimir Putin, and now anybody on the left and the right sees them as a hero. It boggles my mind.
Thierry, would you like to respond to this?
So Thierry,
Thierry, you're muted.
Yeah, I'd like to have your response. Yeah.
Sorry. No, go ahead. I can wait.
No, all good. So Sebastian was responding to your comment, which I missed. I missed the comment. I was helping one of the panelists come up on stage, and I think Sebastian was referring to the comment comparing Putin to Reagan.
Yes. Yeah. So as in all analogies, there are things that are the same and there are things that are different, and I think none of us would say that any world leader has clean hands. Although I disagree with many of the points made by the previous speaker about Vladimir Putin. I do not think that he is a communist. I do not think he has ever been a communist. I think communism is very different from Marxism even, and I think that the West is currently taken by Marxist philosophy, and I think globalism, and I think everything we see at World Economic Forum is Marxism in practice, and I think that Putin, through his unique personality and experience, through his life, has been immunized. He's immune to Marxism, and that's what makes him such an extraordinary individual. Obviously, what happens in Ukraine from both sides, the NATO and Russia, there are lives being destroyed, and all of that is horrible. But the geostrategic importance of what's going on there, I think, is what we should be talking about. And I'm just wondering if it's not Putin, according to all of those participating in discussion, is there anyone else at the world stage who opposes globalism, who opposes transgenderism, who opposes multiculturalism, who opposes transnationalism, who opposes CBDCism, who opposes mRNA injections, who is actually defending traditional European civilization? If it's not Putin, who would it be? I'm very interested. And I'm not, just to add, sorry, Mario, but just the final point, I'm not so very interested in all these sentimentalist points like, okay, Napoleon. What do you think about Napoleon? Well, he killed like 2,500 people at this or that battlefield. I don't think that's an adult way to talk about world history. I think we should skip the sentimentalism and
But
talk
but Thierry, how is
Murderous
it?
sentimentalism?
Yeah, so Thierry, like if someone stands for a certain ideology that you believe in, but yet kills hundreds of thousands of people, I wouldn't discount the death of hundreds of thousands of people. I would actually consider it more important, in my opinion, to any ideologies they have.
Then we can easily discard any U.S. president in the history of the artificial nation called United States. Because every single president in the history of the United States has killed hundreds of thousands of innocent civilians. So let's just make this an equal equation.
Sebastian,
if we're going to talk seriously about civilian casualties, then anyone on the side of the United States should shut up. Period.
Sebastian, I think you'd have a lot to say on this. Sebastian, your mic is muted, bottom left corner.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right.
So I don't want to, I feel like getting out of this Twitter space because these are the arguments. What you just heard was a classic Politburo desinformacja maskirovka. This is the moral equivalency argument that American presidents killed innocent people, therefore there is no morally good system, and therefore Vladimir Putin, because he hates gay people, is a champion of the West. I don't know who this politician is, but I will be digging deeply into him, and I will be doing my show on Monday on who he is as a perfect example of why the West will be destroyed from the inside if we don't get a grip on individuals who know nothing about Western civilization. To say American presidents shut up because American presidents killed hundreds of thousands of people. Yeah, show me that policy where we actually decided to have hundreds of thousands, if not millions, killed. I mean, where we actually said it is part of our government policy. It's not a mistake. It's not something we regret. It's not something we have investigations over like the My Lai massacre. No, we build gulags. We hang people high. We disappear them. We paint them out of photographs like Trotsky because they are unpersoned. The idea that a KGB colonel isn't a communist, you are either working for the Kremlin or you're stupid. You cannot be a member of the KGB working in East Germany unless you are a member of a party. The fact that you don't know that boggles the mind, that you are on a spaces with thousands of people and you think you can get away with the lie that a KGB colonel serving in the Cold War in East Germany isn't a communist, but he's immune to Marxism? I mean, you have to be smoking Hunter Biden's crack pipe to believe anybody should actually take you seriously when you say KGB colonel who said, again, on the record multiple times, the greatest geopolitical tragedy of the 20th century was the loss of the Soviet Union, isn't a communist, but is somehow magically immunized against Marxism. I am tapped out, Mario. Before my blood pressure blows my carotid artery, I'm off this spaces because whoever this person is, this is absolutely horrific.